probably been in class all day and don't really want to have me talking at you all evening. So what I'd like to do is really have this more of a discussion. This is, I know all this stuff that I'm getting ready to say. The idea is that you guys have a chance to interact and to learn a little bit of a different methodology of what community managed microfinance can be. It's just a twist on microfinance. For me, some other people, that sort of falls into this category. And basically, that is what I've been doing. Just a little bit about me. I actually started off all of this as a Peace Corps volunteer in Ecuador. So since then, I've sort of been involved in community microfinance. And it was a really amazing experience, and just sort of my plug for the Peace Corps. If you guys are interested in that, I would highly recommend it, especially since you obviously had that sort of focus for your lives already. You're here, you're interested in microfinance. Without further ado, what I'll be talking about this evening predominantly will be community managed microfinance. Does anybody have an idea of what the difference may be between sort of the traditional microfinance and what this wrinkle might be with community managed microfinance? Yes.
That the community makes all the decisions, that the internal, basically the smaller group makes all the decisions on who's going to receive funding and things like that, and it's more or less at least partially feedback managed by the people receiving the funding.
Exactly. Anyone else? Yes.
Perhaps kind of like the community model where the borrowers themselves own the bank or the microfinance group.
Definitely. Both of those are very good points. Anyone else? Any other ideas? As your colleagues have just said, it's some of two very important points. Number one is that these groups are self-owned. They're community managed. They own themselves, so they're self-managed. And that's a very important part of our methodology, is the idea that in order for someone to improve their status in life, or in order for someone to progress in terms of the microfinance world, very important that in our methodology that people are empowered, right? So it's the whole adage about a fish, right? Why give someone a fish when they can eat for a day, or teach them how to fish and they can eat for the rest of their life? And part of that is a different question. It's well, where do they get the rod and reel to go fishing? But we won't be talking about that today. Community managed microfinance. So our roadmap for tonight, where are we going, how are we going to get there over the next few moments. We're going to talk about a few things, and more than anything, I'd like to ask you a few questions. What does community managed microfinance mean? We're going to find that out over the next few moments as well. We're going to go into, not necessarily the specifics, but just so you have an idea over the next few moments. How does it work? So we understand that this whole model of community microfinance, well, it's community owned, the people make the decisions, but what does that really mean? What does it mean in the practice? And another saying that I really enjoy is, when the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. So that would be, I feel like that one of our issues in the microfinance world is, and I was just talking about that this afternoon, somebody said, well, what about microfinance in this context and that context and another? Microfinance is just like any other tool. It has its pros, it has its cons, it has its strengths, it has its weaknesses. And it does, right now, seem to be the theme of the day. It seems like that people are really excited about microfinance, even if they don't very well know what it is, they are excited. We have to remember that it is a tool, just as a hammer is a tool. And that oftentimes we see these different problems, whether it's through education, or any different problem or issues that we see in the developing world. And recently, the hammer of choice has been microfinance. So that's something that we've been seeing, is that this is, any level microfinance has its appropriate use, just as we'll talk about the advantage of community managed microfinance, where it works and where it doesn't. But the idea in and of itself is that it is just a tool. Okay, so a few more questions before we start. What do you guys think? Can the poor save? And when I say poor, I mean not poor of spirit, not poor of love, but poor economically disadvantaged or economically challenged. Can they save? What do you guys think? Say something. I don't know.
Depends.
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes, we've got yes and maybe. Why do you say maybe?
Well, I mean, it depends on whether they have to constantly go into debt in order to, do whatever basic economic activities meeting their basic needs. And so, can they probably, obviously theoretically somebody could be at a marginal level of consumption where if they save they die. That's probably not usually exactly the case, but perhaps they can save some nominal sum, but more the point would be if they sort of have, in a sense, a net negative income every year, net zero income if they have to go into a certain amount of debt. They're sort of always behind the eight ball of the community loan shark or whatever to be able to do whatever it is they do to get by.
Definitely. Anyone else? What do you think? What is kind of this idea that you have already? Do poor people save? And like I said, that we're talking about a specific group of people. Yes.
Well, one of the reasons why people save is if they see a future or not, and a lot of poor people don't really know if they really have a place or they have the opportunity to have a better life.
Right.
So some of them just keep looking forward to doing as good as they can. They have some short-term goals, but they usually aren't so much that they would have to save nearly as much as a lot of people try to save.
Right. That's very interesting. The idea that savings is thinking of the future. And if you don't really see that future for yourself, you're probably not going to save. Because a situation where I'm putting aside today and saving it for tomorrow, for whatever reason. We'll get back to this. What I want you to be thinking is non-traditional ways of saving. So this is oftentimes when I present on this or when I talk to groups of people, especially impoverished people, I say, well, do you think you save? And we get this idea that no, that the poor can't save, that they don't. And then you say, well, what do you do when you need a few dollars? Where do you go? And they're like, well, that's when I sell my pig that I have. Or that's when I sell these chickens. Or that's when I have this extra little something right here that I've saved. Even just recently I was in Guatemala, and the woman, one of her ways of saving was making artisan products. And every time she needed a little extra cash, she'd take some of these products and sell them, not as her main business. But the idea is that in the United States, we often have this idea that saving means taking money and depositing it in a bank, when that's not necessarily the case. And we'll see, and you guys, I know you'll see throughout your other experiences here, one of the most interesting things is when people take these alternative forms of saving. So what is microfinance? I think you guys already know, and I don't want to... All right, so here's a question that I want to ask you. How many of you guys have credit cards? Raise your hand if you don't. Have a credit card, debit card of any sort? Credit, debit? Okay. Pretty much everybody. What about a savings account? Anybody have a savings account? Okay, I think we're almost everybody there again. And checking accounts, again, your parents' checking account don't count. So no, I'm just fine. So what about this though? What about business loans? How many of you have ever taken out a loan to start business? One? Okay. The point that I want to make here, and this is one that community microfinance hinges upon this point. The idea is that why are the economically disadvantaged, the poor people, any different from you or me?